C-O-double-M-O to the end. You heard my well, boy, I hit me again. Official rock from the city of wind. Straight doing it. I am doing it. C-O-double-M-O to the end. You heard mother? Well, boy, I hit me again. Official rock from the city of wind. Straight doing it. Keep on. Keep on. Keep on. Keep. My back, I pursue rap at the pace of a new jack. It's miscellaneous numbers and shoes stacked. Bruce rap I deliver for the hungry and underprivileged. Something different from these hollering grunting is this is business strictly. Step to my business is risky, especially when you was this missy. Back to back LPs that sound the same. I surround the gang with a 4-pounded brainstorm to make us dance in the rain. Scared to take a chance in the game. Used to break dance, it's a shame. What money do to a brain? If he loses his soul, what did a nigga gain? Doing it. Yeah, I am doing it. I am doing it. C-O-double-M-O to the end. Doing it. I am doing it. C-O-double-M-O to the end. You heard? My train of thought is that of a hustler or with his shirt off, trying to get his work off to customers. I rap with a chip on my shoulder, squeezing Corona C-shirts. Say we gotta get over that jiggy. It is over. The war is on. I only wanna be a soldier. I'm holding on to a culture focused like Gordon Parks when it's sorta dark. But flooded with ice, my thoughts are
Microphone check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Microphone check, 1, 2, 1, 2. I go. Aye, okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Garth Ross. I'm the Vice President for Community Engagement here at the Kennedy Center. And on behalf of Kennedy Center Chairman David Rubenstein, Kennedy Center President Deborah Rudder, and Kennedy Center Artistic Director for Hip Hop Culture, Q-Tip. That's real. I'm thrilled to welcome you here tonight for the launch of the ArtChangeUS at the Kennedy Center National Discussion Series. So this is going to be a monthly discussion series exploring topics at the intersection of social justice and the arts. Is that all right? Okay. So before we begin, I want to thank Okayplayer. Please, big round of applause for our partner at Okayplayer and the Okayplayer team in the house. Big thanks to Tidal for their work with us tonight and tomorrow night as well. I'd also like to make a special welcome to the newest Kennedy Center team member, Simone Eccleston. She is our brand new Director for Hip Hop Culture and Contemporary Music. So thank you to Simone, and thank you to everyone in this community who's been part of this journey of bringing hip hop to the Kennedy Center, that tonight is just one more chapter in that story. Now it's such an honor for me to introduce one of my favorite people, Roberta Uno, Director of ArtChangeUS at CalArts.
Thank you, Garth. And thank you all for being here. This is pretty amazing. And this is so incredible how you've transformed this space and that we're having this conversation nationally. As Garth said, Art's in a Changing America, or you can call it ArtChangeUS, or you can call it ArtChangeUS, because it is about the US and it is about us. We are holding these national conversations here because Robert Van Leer and Garth are our core partners. They're one of 17 core partners across America who feel that this is the time for us to have these kinds of conversations. It's pretty amazing to come into the Kennedy Center and, you know, it boggles my mind. I just read on the walls the words courage, freedom, service, justice, and gratitude. These were JFK's words. You know, how prophetic, how much we need these words in these times. So also, how amazing today, this afternoon, we got here and King was giving that extraordinary concert. Such beautiful voices, such an amazing community. And it is 20 years now that the Millennium Stage has been giving these free performances every single day of the week for 2 decades. So thank you so much. Tonight we're going to look at the topic of culture building and social movement building. And I don't know if people know, but someone told me earlier today that today is World Poetry Day. You know, like that's what we need, are these words of inspiration, these words that keep our spirits moving. So who better to do that than the 2 wordsmiths we have tonight? Chinaka Hodge is on a national book tour for her new book, Dated Emcees. She is a leading voice of her generation. And then we have the legendary, extraordinary actor, rapper, writer, poet, film producer, Common. Welcome to both. Thank you.
Peace, what's up, y'all? Peace.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, peace, what's up, everybody? God bless.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man.
Thank you for being here with us.
I'm looking in the room, glad to be here with you, and I'm grateful.
As am I.
Yeah.
As am I. I start every conversation I have this way. Who are your people? Why do you represent them? Why do you make what you make?
Well, my people are people of God, children of the Most High, including the ones, you know, like myself at times who get lost or stray away. My people are people who are about love, about trying to get love out there, even when we go through the struggles. My people are Black people.
We here.
Yeah. My people are people from Chicago, Southside. Yeah. But you know, like, it extends. I don't look at myself as just one thing, and I know that my people extend too. And I think my father kind of showed me that in general by just being a guy who was like, he said, man, I'm gonna give you this Christian name, which is my name. Lonnie was my father's first name. And then I want to give you this Muslim name, Rashid, because I want you to know that, you know, it's no separation between that. And that was his way of extending, like, hey, you part of a lot of things. And, you know, so when I do my art, I do it from the perspective of things that I know and with my imagination. And I speak to my people like I'm always speaking to people in the struggle. And it starts with the black community because that's where I come from. And I know that, like, we need a lot of support and love. So that's where my art is.
I'm glad you mentioned your father and your mother. Your mother's on the album cover for One Day It All Makes Sense. Your father's featured on almost every project.
Yeah.
Why is it important to you to make sure that their legacy and their names and their faces are part of your art?
I mean, I just, first of all, like, simple thought of honoring our mother and our father no matter what. Like, I didn't grow up with my father, like, every day. And then, like, my mother and father split up when I was a year and a half.
Me too.
Yeah? So, you know, but my father, he went through his trials and different things, but he always was there for me in a spiritual way and, like, in a way of words. And at times, you know, just we had our moments of just growing and talking to each other and being around each other too. So it was always an inspiration. My mother was like, you know, she like gave me life in this earth and showed me so many things of how to be a human being, a loving human being, and just, I felt all that care. So it was like, it wasn't anything like, for me that was like, let me just, it wasn't a big thought to put my mother and father, include them in things. It just came as a natural thing. I was like, man, it's a dope picture for an album cover.
Hat.
Yeah, that was a little trip we took. My mother took me to Mexico when I was like
wow.
8 years old. Yeah, and it was crazy because I was out there and I wandered off. We was at a market and I wandered off and I got lost. And I didn't speak any Spanish. I barely speak, I don't speak too much Spanish now, I'm trying to. But I was lost. That was the scariest time of my life as a kid because I was lost in Acapulco by myself. And I didn't know where my mother was, but they found a little black boy at some point. And I got back with my mom. And anyway, my father ended up being on the album because my father always would have these talks. Like, he would always just, my father was like, he was like a sage, a guru, and just a street dude, like, like a real dude that just know the streets and been through it. So his talks was real balanced. He was a Gemini. So it's like, he'd go over here and do
like
this.
balanced or bipolar.
Yeah. Balanced, bipolar, crazy, whatever you want to call it.
We in process with ourselves.
Hey, to all you Geminis, I love you, though. It's all good.
All my best friends.
Yeah, but those talks made me be like, one day he was coming to the studio when I was in Chicago working on the album Resurrection. And I remember we was drinking our little Heinekens, me and my guys, we ordered some pizza. And I just asked him, I said, Dad, go in there and lay something down, like, say something, he was like, what you want me to say? I was like, just talk like you be talking to me on the phone. So
And Pop's Rap is a classic
Pop's
now.
Rap, we played it at his memorial. It really kind of touched me because we went through his what would you say, anthology? His,
like a body of work.
His body of work, like, for all those projects. And it was something to hear his growth and his evolution and to know, like, that was his first time Pop's Rap, but then he started writing things and it was just like, and that was like, he milked, like, my father was like, he loved that spotlight, so he's like, yeah.
All right, so we've talked about moms, pops. Tell me about home. Tell me about the South Side of Chicago. How did it help you become the artist that you are today?
Yeah, well, the South Side is, first of all, I don't want to act like it's so different from a lot of other inner city neighborhoods. I mean, every city got some neighborhood that's black and has different, like, it's poor, but the South Side was something like where it wasn't just poor. It was like, South Side had this mixture of, it was definitely black, because Chicago, one thing people don't mention about Chicago is very segregated, very segregated. Like, the only time you'll see other nationalities is if you go downtown or a little bit up north. So my neighborhood was just black, and it went from middle class to kind of poor. And it had, like, Chicago culture is gangs. So it was a gang culture, but it was also people well off too. Like, and I kind of got to see all of that, and it was a natural thing. Like, when you think about the arts and the music, we naturally kind of was into soul music. That was, even in the 90s, we was living in the 70s as far as, like, just our music, and we always had that. So, and, it's a city that, like, I always call it, like, it taught me a lot about, it informed me as a human being and then informed my music, because it always taught me to be myself, like, to be authentic to who I was. Because, like, my friends, the way we grew up, like, if it was something going on with you, like, your friends would just joke about it, like, and still to this day, like, if they thought your father was cheating on your mom, they would joke about it, like, and
you're gonna hear it in the street.
You're gonna hear it in the street, and they gonna say something. But it just gave you a certain, like, things where you just didn't try to hide too much from things that might seem embarrassing amongst other people. And I feel like that was a trait that I've been able to carry into my music, and that's why I can rap about love songs or being heartbroken or use my imagination in some ways where people would say, man, hip hop is, you're supposed to be more like hard rock than that. You're supposed to, But I'm like, man, this is who I am. And
What she say, don't be a hard rock when you really are a jet.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, you know, growing up there kind of gave me that authenticity and the blue collar. And I also got to, you know, say, even growing up in the church I grew up going to was called Trinity United Church of Christ. And it's Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who's like powerful minister. I feel like he was one of the people who helped raise me in a way, because his sermons on those Sunday mornings was like, I was getting that, our little not little motto, but our motto was unapologetically black, unashamedly Christian. So it was like, that's what I was getting from 8 years old. And some of those same sermons that they used to try to pit him against Obama is what I was getting to hear, the whole sermon. So I kind of got to know about who I was as a young black dude. So all of that, for me, gave me Chicago.
We're supposed to talk about art and politics, and I feel like that's what church is. So can you tell me about, like, church as a political site on a weekly basis, and the way that you began to frame your political ideals around either the teachings of Jesus or in communion with the deacons, or however you became to see yourself as a political being in the church?
Well, I mean, I believe it's not supposed to be so much like church and state, as they say, or whatever. But I think it's important that any church, the reason why I gravitated towards the church I was going to, well, not like I had a choice. I was 8 years old, but that was the
choice.
Yeah. But I was glad that, you know, God sent me to that church, because it was involving it's the words were like relating the Bible to what we were living at the time. So it didn't seem so far-fetched that, like, I didn't just fall asleep as a kid, just fall asleep in all the sermons, because it was like, man, I kind of understand this. Like, yeah, I see some of the stuff you're talking about. And I think he did bring in some politics and would speak up against the injustices. So I think it was like, if you relate that to what Jesus did, Jesus was definitely speaking up against the hypocrites who were supposed to be the leaders of the community, whether they were the Pharisees or Sadducees, or, you know.
Trumpecies.
Yeah.
Feeds cut.
Yeah, man. Yeah, on my way here, I just got stopped by the motorcade, and I was like,
I got caught in that motorcade yesterday.
I was like, man, this is the worst, man. Like, honestly, I used to be even mad when Obama was like, with President Obama, but to have this
dude,
president, like, you waiting for that, you like, this ain't right, man.
Right.
This ain't right. I honestly sat there and was like, damn, this is for real. Like, I'm really, you know, sometimes it takes levels for you to grasp onto the reality of where we are right now. But
I felt trapped yesterday. I felt caught in somebody else's politics in a really real way.
Yeah.
I had to use a bathroom, and I was stuck 4 blocks from where I was trying to be in the motorcade, and really felt like I had zero choice, zero agency.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It became pretty
that was
tangible.
symbolic, right?
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Symbolic. But I mean, when it comes to what you said about church, I think it's important that, you know, as much as we know politics has an effect upon us, and we should be affecting it too, it's like, man, nothing is before our spirituality and our relationship with the Creator and our relationship with our family members and our community. Like, I don't think, in all truth, like, it's not like a politician can come in between me and that.
Right.
Like, so I know if I'm seeking out what I'm supposed to be seeking out, like, which is, you know, let the God in me come, I get closer to God, and then I see the God in each and every other individual, then I know that, you know, this president here is not going to detour me from my destiny like that. It's just going, you know, it's going to actually, you know, probably, it ain't going to detour me from my destiny. It's going to bring out the best in me. I ain't mean to make that rhyme, but I did. You know what I'm saying? You know?
Poet ain't even know it, fam. Okay, so we understand that art is what precedes cultural and political shift, right? You see a show that exists on TV like Will and Grace, and years later we see the SCOTUS folks pass same-sex marriage. What if art precedes cultural policy? If art precedes cultural shifts, what is the end game? What is the cultural shift you would like to see? What What's after?
I'm just really, I'm really a believer in like the equality in humanity. Like I really want to see like people have real opportunities. Like when I go to certain neighborhoods and I see, like, it really feels like I can go through certain parts of Chicago and I feel like I'm in a third world country. Like the people I walk around and see, like they all drugged up, all dealing like with alcoholism. And I'm not in a judgment state on, but it just makes me feel sad. So I feel like, man, what can we, the end game for me is to create art that's going to create a certain equality. And I mean, it's not going to be only art too.
Right.
We obviously have to do the work when it comes to just changing our mentality or improving our mentality or spreading the love and also creating resources and spreading those resources. But yeah, I think the end game is, what I would like to see is just equality. And that means, you know, because as black people, when I'm talking like black America again, I'm saying things about black people because, man, we just been dealt a tougher hand out here. And, you know, if things was equal, I'm gonna be embracing my culture, but it wouldn't have to be as much to be said. Like it just would be evident. But some people just don't know, like, and they don't know, they don't show, or don't care what's going on. You know, but seriously, they just don't. Some people not aware. Some people are aware and really don't even care about it. So I think, you know, the end game is to create that equality for not only for black, but for women, for like you know, I've grown to understand, man, it's like, man, it's people, like for Latino brothers and sisters, for, you know, for all different communities where anybody that's like being like pushed down, man, we got to be lifted up to an equal level so everybody can have the, you know, not only the opportunities, but just the joys and the good aspects of life. And that's a dreamy world. I'm a dreamer, you know, for real, but I do believe that dreams can happen. It's just us putting it in action.
You gotta dream it before you can manifest it, I believe.
Yeah.
So to me, when I hear the album title Black America Again, I can't help but to find the counterbalance and make America great again. In a lot of ways, those folks are pining for an idyllic 50s suburban America that really didn't exist at that time for everyone involved and certainly doesn't exist now. When you say Black America Again, what do you imagine? What do you envision? I know you kind of touched on it in the last answer, but.
Yeah, well, first, when I came up with Black America Again, honestly, I didn't even, this before I knew what, you know.
That guy.
What Trump's campaign was. I didn't even, like, that just wasn't it. What happened for me was that someone I work with, Mamouna Youssef, was singing
What a
a song.
beautiful. Is she here right now? She was here earlier. She was, man, fantastic.
Yeah, she's amazing. But she was singing a song about Sandra Bland, and I was like, while we were doing the sound check, and when she was singing, it was touching me emotionally, and then I was thinking like, man, what could her family be going through? Because we could say her name, and like I was thinking about, man, like her life, like is gone for nothing, like for her being black, right? So it just kind of, it made me think like, okay, for some reason that moment, and then that moment took me to Rodney King when I saw Straight Outta Compton. I was thinking like, man, okay, I mean, we know that this has been happening for a long time, but that was 1993, and just to see it again was just like, damn, like this is a cycle that keeps going on, like, and then it took my mind to stuff we've been through in the civil rights, and then through slavery, just our story of coming here. And I was like, man, this has been a cycle that's repeated itself, the way black people have been dehumanized and as the word always says, marginalized, but just basically treated less than, and systems being set up and individuals treating black people as less than. And I was like, man, this is the story that keeps going on over and over. But as I began to write the song, because when I was writing the song, I was starting from there, you know, that's why I say, here we go again. Trayvon will never get to be an older man. Black children, their childhood stole from them, robbed of our names and our language, stole again. Who stole the soul from black folk? Same man that stole the land from Chief Black Smoke and made the whip crackle on our back slow, made us go through the back door and raffle black bodies on the slave blocks. Now we slave to the blocks cause on them we spray shots, leaving our own to lay in a box. Black mother's stomach staying or not. We kill each other, it's part of the plot. I wish the hating would stop. War, and a battle with us. I know that black lives matter and they matter to us. These are the things we gotta discuss. The new plantation, mass incarceration. Instead of educate, they rather convict the kids. As dirty as the water in Flint the system is. Is it a felony or a misdemeanor? Maria Sharapova making more than Serena. It took Viola Davis to say this. The roles of the help and the gangsters is really all they gave us. We need Avas, Ta-Nehisi's, and Cory Bookers. The salt of the earth to get us off of sugar. And greasy foods, I don't believe the news. Or radio, stereotypes we refuse. Brainwashed in the cycle to spin. We write our own story, Black America again. So I was what I was thinking, as I was writing it, I started with the struggle and went a lot to the struggle, but I ended it off saying, we writing our own story. Because it eventually became a thing where I was like, man, we got to write a new story, a new narrative, because some things are not being told, that all this greatness, that like, whether it's been us as inventors or us as politicians, whether, it's Frederick Douglass or Fannie Lou Hamer or like Dr. King, I know that, or Maya Angelou, or some people we don't know their names. It's been a lot of great things that we've contributed and built in this country and built around the world. So let's write the new narrative. Like, let's not just let the news show us on TV getting handcuffed. Let's just not let reality shows depict only who we are. Like, let them depict, let's create our own images and create our own stories. And I was like, that's what that whole, when I said Black America again, it was like we rewriting the story. And, we're going to tell it the way it needs to be told. So, and that includes Serena Williams just being the greatest tennis player.
All time, greatest athlete all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Next question. In light of the Corporation for Public Broadcast Funding likely being cut, the NEA likely being cut, what can we do as people of privilege and artists of stature to make sure that arts education, arts access is available for our people?
Right. I think it's important to tie into, it's already groups and people that do work in all our communities that work with the arts, right? It's important to identify those that are really solid, those that are really doing work and already have a certain thing. And if you can team up with them, team up with them. If not, it's like, okay, what can we do for ourselves, like to come together with other people with similar vision and create some places where our kids can go and like express themselves through the arts, and just have places to go to even do things that are productive. Where can they do that, and how can we team up with? It's about having those conversations and really finding people that are passionate about those things. But then along with that, I think it's like using because everything, and I'm learning this as I go too, of some of the stuff that I've been coming across is like, some of the educational programs that's dealing with government is not just federal, it's like local and state. So how can we put the press on those people to make sure money is coming to our educational programs? And we got resources. Everybody in this room got something to give to the world and got a talent. So like when we put our creativity and minds and finances together and energy, like we come up with great stuff. So it's like about really coming together with people that are for that mission, and then also like identifying politicians that are for that mission. I salute Chance for what he did in Chicago.
Tell more about that, because I feel like we know it's shorthand, but we can clap for Chance, but let him tell what Chance did first.
Yeah, Chance went and met with the governor of Illinois and was like, man, what's up with getting this money that we need for the educational system in Chicago and throughout the state. And I think, you know, he didn't get to where he wanted to in that meeting, so he went and made a pledge of $1 million to the Chicago public schools, and it's going to be paid over a period of time, but it was really, it was inspirational. It was, I mean, it took heart. It took the effort, and this dude is like 23 years old.
That's what I'm saying. And like that same week, he bought out all the Get Out tickets for the theaters on the South Side, right? And everybody got to see that art for free as well.
That's, I mean, it's so many, that's a great example of just supporting the arts in that way. Shoot, he found a film that he really was like, knew that was good. He really loved it and bought out the theater. I mean, and it's like, man, that's stuff that we could take our kids to too. Like maybe not Get Out.
Maybe not Get Out.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like stuff that's enlightening and inspirational, or stuff that like really can work and expose them to new things. Cause, man, I gotta say, like, getting exposed to new things has been the key to me being able to grow as a human being, as an artist. I mean, like I said, my mother's a teacher, so I felt like I was getting a good education. I was. I was in a good school and everything, so I was getting that. But then getting to go to New York, see New York, just to get out of Chicago and see New York, or go to school in Florida, and then eventually get to go somewhere, you know, overseas or whatever. Just was like, man, I'm exposing myself to new things, and it opened my mind up in my world. And I think, you know, that's what the kids need. Like, so if we can even bring new thoughts and ideas to them in that way, expose them to new things. I like one thing we've been doing. We have a festival called the iFest. I like your nail polish. It's dope.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's chocolate colored.
It's dope. I love it, bro. It's dope. But yo, so we got a festival called the iFest. We got a festival called the iFest, and it's like, it's you know, we basically, first year we had like all these dope artists: Kanye, Lupe, Jennifer Hudson, J Electronica, De La Soul, and it's for the community. Like, but you know, and we have Community Day. But one of the things that I was adamant about was like getting kids from our programs. We got like the Common Ground Foundation, but all these foundations like Donda's Houses and other foundations in Chicago, getting them to see what it is to be a lighting director, or to be a stage manager, or to be, you know, a sound engineer. You know, I just needed them to be exposed to new things because I wanted them to, because it's like, everybody, the kids sometimes only know what they see, and that's like the dude on the stage or the woman on the stage or the person in front of the camera, and they may have gifts in other areas. So, and they may not just been exposed to it. So I say all that to say exposure is really important, and if we can just find ways to expose our kids when it comes to how can we, you know, go outside of the government to benefit our kids in the educational way. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We're
getting thank yous from the audience for those on the live feed. Do you know about Broccoli City Festival that happens here in D.C.?
What is it?
Broccoli City Festival.
I heard of it. I don't know much about it. Tell me.
I don't want to be the one to speak on it. The brother is here, and I won't call him out, but one of the organizers of Broccoli City is here. As I understand it, it's a community engagement festival that doesn't start and end just with the musicians. So last year, I think that Future and Janae Aiko headlined it. But before that and after that, there's community gardening, there's healthy living, there's ways to trade on your investment. They just dropped a new app called Chip In, where you can basically invest your time, talent, energy, or resource over the course of the year and then earn things like tickets to concerts or prizes or Whole Foods gift cards. So
that's dope.
You should check it out.
Yeah, Broccoli.
Little shameless plug for one of my friends.
I ain't mad at that. That's a good plug. Yeah, I was surprised, you know, to be honest, when we found this farm in Chicago in the inner city, and we took our kids there just so they could see what what it is, and they ended up, you know, planting some things and just getting to be a part of it. I'm saying planting some things, you know, I don't know nothing about farming,
But you play a farmer on TV, so.
yeah, so I'm close to that, right? But yeah, so I was surprised that we had that, and actually a pastor who from Trinity now, Reverend Otis Moss, he told me about these things going on where like Trinity is working with a lot of the inner city farms, or one specific one that I don't recall the name, but yeah, man, it's like, it's stuff going on like that. I got to check out the Broccoli. It's
Broccoli City Festival. Yeah. It happens here in D.C. and then it's happened to some satellites, L.A., the Bay maybe. Early May.
Early May.
Folks are here, like they're right here. I can't see anything in the audience, but they're somewhere else.
I think it's all, for me, it's always dope when you can have something fun, and then at the end result is like you still get something out of it that's enriching, and something that you could walk away with that could really improve your life. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, that's something, getting exposed to that stuff would be great.
Yeah. We were talking about exposure before. You mentioned that your mom was a teacher. We know that Donda was a teacher. We know that Wasalu was raised by a whole bevy of teachers and political activists. So can you talk a little bit about like learning, education, and what you think the components of that need to be in order to be a successful human?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, we have the ability and capacity to like become like the highest beings that we could be through information and exposure and experiences. And learning is like something that I commit myself to like every day. I know as long as I'm on this planet in the physical form, I want to be learning, right? So I think, you know, I didn't know it when my mother was making me do book reports outside of homework, you know. She was like, "You're going to do this book report."
That was my dad's job.
Yeah, see, you know. And she made me find books that I really liked, like Encyclopedia Brown. You ever heard of that?
Don't get me started on Encyclopedia Brown. We just went from being associates to friends. Hold on.
Yo, so, I mean, so anyway, that stuff was really helpful to me later on. I didn't know it was really like feeding me to have a vocabulary and to just be, you know, reading is obviously important because you're gathering information. And it helped me as a writer too. And I didn't know that writing was something that I would eventually be pursuing. But that foundation of learning, it was like the basis for me to grow and to be the human being I wanted to be, and essentially be the artist that I want to be. It's like I'm always seeking out, whether it's new information through music, new information through books I read, whether they're self-help books. I'm always going through the New Testament, learning new things, and you know, listening, traveling, hearing new music, seeing new films, all of that, like paintings, all that stuff. I feel like the process of learning, conversations, listening to people is like, man, it just benefits you to be a better human being and to understand other human beings. And when you go into places, because we go through that learning process, you're not just one track, you're not on one track, you don't think just one way. You can like have a conversation and not agree with somebody but still understand them. And I think that comes through like just being open to learning and continuing to learn. And I tell all the young Emcees, younger artists come to me and be like, man, what's up? Yo, what advice do you have for Emcees is, you know, coming up? I'll be like, man, always keep learning. Always keep learning, because if you keep learning, you're going to get better. And I think, you know, the audience itself, we grow. So if we growing and you still rapping about the same things after like 6 years, then we like, man, it's cool, it's good. He in his lane, he doing his thing. Or she in her lane, but, you know, we done moved on, you know, so it's like, I think you got to keep moving by learning.
I want to talk about the capacity for growth, particularly for white supremacists. No, we might as well go there, you know. I eased you in, Goldie, but now we're there. So love is the way, right? Love is the way we can teach people not to be hateful.
Right.
And I want to ask you about this through the lens of Hell on Wheels, because I feel like the character Cullen he starts the series as basically like a Confederate soldier and hateful to black people. And by the end of this series, by the time you enter the show, he's made like, I don't want to give no spoilers away, but when you die on screen, bruh, I'm still not over it, you know what I'm saying? But in that moment, we see this character's compassion for someone he felt he would hate forever. And I wonder, like, outside of television, outside of the small screen, is there actually capacity to love somebody into loving you back?
Yeah, I do believe it's capacity, because you know most of the people that are in that world of in that place of like hating someone else, obviously it starts with a lack of love for themselves, right? And the way they were raised, or that what their culture is something that they're not happy with within themselves to make you be like, I hate you, and I don't know anything about you, right? We know that's a basic thought, but people have had interactions and have had conversations and disagreements and have shared in like experiences that made them understand, I'm saying black and white people, that made them say, man, you know what, you're a white person, but I got love for you, you know, or that white person is like, man, I think differently of you as a black person. Before I had a stereotype and I thought this, but I think different. A good example for me, a real natural example, was one of my best friends, his name is Monar. He was working for the city in Chicago, and he was doing construction with this guy. They were doing like some work for the city. Like it was kind of like construction, but and he was this white guy, and they would roll every day. And like Monar said, he would want to play his music, and he would introduce him to the music he liked, and then the white guy would play his music, and they would have conversations about popular, you know, topics, and just they formed a bond. And it's like, I think one thing that we don't look at in this country is that part of the racial divide is just because we really don't interact. Like, we don't really like, I'm talking about a lot of the states. Yeah, you can go to New York and California and get the multicultural thing in certain places.
I mean, I'm from Oakland. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Oakland's here as well. Hello. We missed you. Glad to see you.
Like, yeah, Oakland's
like Brooklyn. When you say it out, it's like the one person in the audience gonna stand up.
Yeah. But I think it's the interacting in a way, and also just at a certain point, like, you can't just be arguing with a fool. You kind of gotta like just show a fool what a queen's supposed to be like, or what a king is going to be like, and then whether they get it right there at that moment or they go home later, they start reacting to it because you really brought out who they supposed to be, and like the best parts of them that they haven't been functioning as. So I think it's definitely a way that love can overcome that hatred. You could love that strong. I mean, we see it in mothers that's dealing with sons in prisons and stuff. And I know that's not the same racial, but love is that powerful. And I think, you know, it kind of goes back to what the First Lady said, when they go low, we go high.
The only First Lady we acknowledge.
Yeah, I said, you keep,
I keep coming back here.
you save me all the time.
I'm trying, bro.
I've been saying the president, I'm referring to President Barack Obama. But I forget it's another guy in there. Like, First Lady Michelle Obama, she said when they go low, we go high. That's a real powerful. It was so simple, but it's so powerful because in any instance, it's just like, it really like brings out the best in each individual in it, because really when you really function on a higher vibration and trying to do your best to just be a better person, and somebody acting ignorant, you kind of go over them in a way. Like you ain't even like meeting them there, going all that. You ain't dealing with all that, and it you know, it happens in the. I work it out with myself sometimes when I'm, especially being in LA, because white people in LA quick to throw up the middle finger at you, like when you do something like driving and you don't do something that they want you to do, like you go in front of, you pulling that New York drive and just cutting people off. I do that sometimes. And they quick to give you that finger, and you just got to be like, am I gonna really engage in that? Like, because your instinct is like to go be like, yo, homie, I'm right here. What's up? You want some of this right now? Because I really want to dish out a little. But you got to overcome all that stuff and just be like, man, I got to go high. So I think love is the most powerful thing we got. Like that's the when you get stripped down to when you get stripped down, or not, when we get stripped down to like, whether it's sickness, whether it's being poor, or whether it's, you know, dealing with any type of pain, love is the only thing that will overcome all those things. Like that's the highest thing that we can do. And that's, you know, that's why I'm a believer in God, because God is love. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
My question next is, all-time favorite role you've done?
Let me see. My all-time favorite role, man, to be honest, it was the first role I did in a movie called Smoking Aces.
Man, you and Alicia come out the elevator, I'm too ready. I'm pumped. Love it.
For some reason, I mean, it was just the joy of that was my first callback. What did you say? Sorry.
He says first callback. Baby's first callback, that's big.
That was my first callback, man. And then it was my first, you know, movie, and me seeing what a storyboard is. And then the director, Joe Carnahan, was like just one of the best people you could work with. Like on the set, he just had this energy, and he just, you know, knew everybody's names, you know, and that ain't always what directors do. The only two directors that I can recall that I've seen that had that type of knowledge was Ava DuVernay and Joe Carnahan. But they was calling everybody by name and made everybody feel like they was a part of it. And it was just like working with Alicia, it was both our first times. And, you know, it was just something about it. Like he was, on the set, he was playing Jay Dilla. And I was like, damn, he know Jay Dilla? This is Joe Carnahan, this boy is bad. So it was just like, and it wasn't just like he was playing it because I was around. He didn't even know that was my roommate. That was my roommate at the time. And it was like, man, he was playing that, and then he would go play. Yeah, give thanks, man. And yeah, so that was my favorite role up to date.
Okay. You brought up Ms. DuVernay, so can we talk a little bit about your process working with her and politics therein? She's one of the founding members of the Blackout Network for Human Rights, for which I'm also a member and a founding member. And I feel she's a visionary both in her writing and her leadership, and literally she's flawless at all times. So can you talk a little bit about working with the Queen? Go.
Well, she definitely is a queen, and also the queen, and just like one of the greatest like talents that I've been able to work with, from the perspective of she has a vision and knows how to like go directly to that vision, and knows how to like be one of the best leaders, and knows how to put the right people together, and just has a knack for like taking every piece that should be there and put that together. And to me, that's the part of being a great leader. Like when you look at great leaders, it's not only them. It's like, who do you surround yourself with? Who do you choose to be your Secretary of Defense? Who do you choose to be your Secretary of Education? You know, like and like I said, it's the compassion that she exudes, and her stuff truly comes from a place where she really wants to affect change, and it's not like I'm about to preach this, but it's just like she just doing what she feels in her heart. And you're not listening.
I am listening. What she feels in her heart.
And then she's just super smart too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably telling you everything you know about, so I can understand.
I don't know her as well as you do, which is why I'm asking.
Yeah, but I think, she approaches things like the 13th. I was on a plane this morning flying here, and it was a guy asleep. It was 7 in the morning, and he was watching the 13th in front of me. This white cat that was watching it. I was stuck on it because.
Was that your first time watching that?
No, I wrote a song for it, man. I watched it.
It's in there. Respect.
Yeah, it's called "Letter to the Free." So no, that wasn't my first time. I had to.
Just start asking questions.
To be honest though, I did start writing the song before I saw the movie, but I had to watch that joint, man. I watched it over, and then I watched it again, and I was watching it on the plane today, and it was just like, man, this woman really knows how to create powerful art that engages you. When I watched Selma, the thing that touched me about Selma, obviously being a part of it, was another level in itself. it just grew me as a human being. But when I watched Selma, it was the first time I started really looking at all these people as human beings. Like looking at Dr. King and seeing like, man, this was a man, this was a person. Like, you know, and looking at the women of the movement and seeing like, man, this woman was strong. She did her thing right here. And, you know, I think she got a way of humanizing people and making, and without preaching. And she just tells her stories beautifully. And she's super intelligent.
All the time.
And beautiful.
Yeah. All right, I think I was listening, but they handed me these questions from the audience that I had to read to be able to prepare for this moment. So we're going to go to a Facebook question from Ignacio Vasquez. How has the music industry changed since you first started?
Yeah. Well, I think the music industry, I mean, when I first started in music, all I knew was I just loved, first of all, I loved music, but I loved hip-hop culture. And every artist that I felt like I was listening to, it felt like they loved the culture. Like they had a love and respect for like what the culture is. Like this, because it wasn't really like a big opportunity for everybody to be making millions and stuff like that. So it was kind of coming from a place, you know, like it's almost like that first love place where you first discovering love, and it's just all in the joy. You never been hurt. You don't have a motive. You just open-hearted, and that's what the music and the culture felt like. It was just an open-hearted expression, because you had artists from Special Ed to Biggie, you know, well pre that, to LL Cool J and Planet Rock and you know Egyptian Lover and all that stuff. I took y'all back, right? y'all like we ain't that old. But look, but you had artists with a whole variety of and it just felt like pure, and it evolved into, at one point as I became involved in the '90s, it was like I saw the corporate worlds can like change things. Obviously, it can start putting the numbers on it. So when the numbers go on it, it's less about the purity and it's more about like, are you delivering the numbers? And it started shifting into that, because a prime example is like, you used to be able to go up to a radio station, and this is radio, which is a big medium, and you would be able to, if the DJ liked your record, they could play your record. They had the choice, because they were that DJ on that night, and they had the jurisdiction to play what they liked. But bless you. But at a certain point, it became like, if you're not on that playlist, which is coming from all this type of not only research, but it's coming from the program director, which may be coming from a bigger corporate person that's saying for whatever reason, which I don't know all the ins and outs of why records make it and they don't onto radio. But if it wasn't on that list, you weren't getting played. And then it just became, music for me, albums, when Ready to Die came out, everybody was listening to it. It wasn't like we were it wasn't like 30 other thousand things out there for us to be like, okay, oh, Biggie just dropped a new album? Like you knew when Biggie's album was coming out, and I think it was just more attention and given to the music at that time. And I think it's still people growing and doing new stuff, which is good. It's still some people out there doing new things and discovering new things and using the art in the way that it should be. So I don't want to act like it's just like, man, it's no good music out there, because it is some. But it's just like the energy of the whole culture, specifically hip-hop and that music, it was more of a purity to it. And I rapped about it in I Used to Love Her.
That's my question for you next, right? So if I Used to Love Her was the state of hip-hop, it came out on Resurrection, so 98?
No, that was like 94.
No, I'm sorry, I was born until 84, my bad. 94,
Yeah.
I heard it in 99. So 94 is kind of the state of hip-hop. Her titties are hanging low on the West Coast and whatnot. Where's hip-hop now? If you had to anthropomorphize her now, what does she look like as a woman?
I think as a woman, I think she's pretty free and like not confined to one thing. She's trying to like keep her youth. And so sometimes, I mean.
She wear her hair natural now or not?
I think some days she wear her hair natural, and then some days she like flipping it, changing, wearing a weave. Sometimes it's like she has a lot of different colors to her right now, and which is not always bad, but sometimes it's like long as you know what where your heart is, then she can dress those ways, you know, and like, cause I always thought the dopest women are women that, you know, they may come from the hood, but they can go, or they may not come from the hood, but they can go to different walks of life and be able to connect with the people and like not
Move from
limit
beauty to
themselves.
thrift shop, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I think hip hop has some of that, but you know, sometimes she contemplating getting Botox done sometimes.
Man, because she watching all these reality shows.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Cherie on Facebook, maybe Sherry on Facebook, her question is also about time. Where do you see your art in 10 years?
Wow. I mean, I hope and pray that my art will be listened to by new people. It will be revisited by people who have listened to it before. Definitely be introduced to people who never even heard of Common. Like I said, I'm discovering new stuff all the time. When I was working on a film and I was in Rome, and I went to the Sistine Chapel, and I was like, man, I see why people, like thousands of people are here from all over the world looking at this. This is an incredible piece of art. And everybody had their own interpretation of it and what they felt when they were seeing it. Everybody was in their own world checking it out. And my standards are like James Baldwin, Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, the Sistine Chapel, John Coltrane's Love Supreme. Like those are things that I wanna, so my goal is to create something that 10 years from now people will be listening to or watching in film or reading, like your book. So I hope it will be, that's what my goal is. I want, you know, you can't determine what people gonna think. You just give all that you're supposed to give to it and give it at the best level you know how to give it. And then, you know, let destiny take it from there.
We're supposed to be wrapping up right now, but I have hella more questions to ask you, so I'm just gonna ask you till they stop.
Okay.
Keep going. Black Panther Party is celebrating 50 years now, right? The 10-point plan is very clear. The last point is we want land, we want bread, we want justice, we want freedom, right? If you were to create an 11th point to that plan, that's representative of what we need now, what would you add to that plan? You know, Oakland, California, bruh. Come on.
What do we want? Well, you know the whole 10-point plan, so I would say we want, what do we want most? We want equality for our women too. Yeah, I don't know if that was in the 10-point plan.
It's not explicitly in there. I appreciate it.
So you know, I mean, obviously, you know, during those times, you know, maybe it might have been in the subconscious that women, because if we dealing with it now, then obviously it existed at that point too. But I'm not saying the brothers of the Black Panther Party were all like that, but we you know, the 10-point program is for everybody anyway. It's to give out to the world. So yeah, we want equality for our women. I like that.
All right, I like that too. I'll take some. My next question has to do also with equity. And I feel often as a cisgendered person that I experience privilege that I don't even have to deal with on a regular basis. And I wonder, I should preface this by saying that trans people and trans black people are killed more than anyone else in this country, at the hands of police, at the hands of our own, often, right? The young lady that we spoke to today, Grace, is a leader in the trans community. And so my question is for me and for her and for all of us, what can we do with our privilege as cisgendered folks to extend the privilege of transgendered folks?
I think it's really important that you expose more people that you know within our community to transgender and cisgender people. Like, you have to expose them. You have to, like, I grew up where we said words that were derogatory towards gay people, right? But it took time for me as an individual to say, why is Rashid doing that? I don't have anything against gay people. That was just the way that was the way of the culture at that time, the way of life in the neighborhood and the ignorance that we were experiencing. So I think it's to have our community, let's start with our community, be more receptive and understanding is to expose, our community to that and like let them, be a part. And the real dudes and people out of there, meaning the dudes, I'm saying real dudes, meaning dudes is known as being out there with their name and cool, gotta be honest about like, yo, like I'm not homophobic. I support transgender, gay rights. I'm like, man, look, if you about love and you about like just being who you are, I'm with you. And if it ain't damaging anybody else. And my thing is, so I'm saying that to say it's exposure. The thing that changed one of the things that changed my perspective, even though I wasn't even like homophobic, or I wasn't even saying like anything crazy, but I would say the word fag in my raps. And it took these two dudes that came to my show, these two gay dudes that came to my show, and they said, man, Common, we love you, man. And but it hurt us when you say the fag. You keep saying fag and da-da-da-da, and all this other stuff. And until I had that conversation with them, I really didn't recognize I was hurting somebody. So I'm saying, just getting in contact, the same way I said black and white people and other nationalities too, because it ain't just only black and white, because let's face it, like sometimes, like between the black and Latino community, we have our things that we gotta come together on. We more alike because we've been treated wrong and we've been oppressed together, but black people obviously even more because we came over here in the struggle for real, but ultimately it's still some things that we got to get together with different nationalities. So I think it's about just being around and understanding and exposing people to that. What do you think?
I like that. It was supposed to be a conversation the whole time. We got about 6 minutes left now that the tables are turned.
Answer one question.
I appreciate you. I'm from the Bay Area, and I'd say I'm proud of the fact that we have made strides towards equity for all communities, and we set a precedent for the rest of the country. I would say that we have to stop looking at people as parts of groups and not as individual masterpieces made by God. Each of us in the way we were created. Each of us in the order that we were ordained. And I feel like until we get to that place to say common is common, Chinaka is Chinaka, grace is grace, and we don't feel the need to put a label on it or put someone into a box, that's one set of things. The other set of things, we have to be aggressive about the rights for trans people in the same way that we're aggressive about rights for ourselves. You said earlier that if you're not willing, can you say it again? Because the brother...
Oh yeah.
Well, what are you willing to die for? Yeah,
Andrew Young told us at a rehearsal for Selma, he said, what are you willing to die for? Live for that.
Yeah.
And it was like, he was willing to die. The women and men of the civil rights movement was willing to die for freedom and for justice and for equality, so they lived for it each and every day.
Yeah.
So
I think we have to stop seeing the freedom, justice, equality as something that can be had by one set group of people. It's not freedom, justice, or equality if only black people experience it or only cis people experience it. It's only freedom, justice, and equality if we all experience it.
Right.
And so I say, like, first of all, this bathroom conversation is ridiculous to me. If trans folks want a bathroom of their own, we should make every bathroom gender neutral. That's super easy.
Yeah.
And I'd prefer it if I could walk into a bathroom that felt free for everyone.
Yeah.
Basics. I feel like the conversation about like choose a gender or pick a gender or just be yourself, we have to end that conversation because it's hurtful every single time. I could go on and on and on and on. But I feel like we have to start acknowledging people's humanity for what it is. Dynamic, uncountable, not easily measured, not easily regulated. And until we get to that place where we're affirming people's humanity and not trying to make them respond to a government box or a form, we lost, we stuck.
But how do we get like people to get into that mode? Are you saying like we have to get people to recognize each other's humanity? Like what's a way, like a direct way that we can connect with the transgender community, or like how can we connect with those?
But we're not separate from them. Like
no, but I'm saying like if I'm growing up on 89th and Bennett, which is where I grew up.
1800 Block Myrtle. Thank you for shouting out our blocks. It is what it is.
So and I'm not seeing that. How do I get exposed to it? Like that's what
I think you have to be like, my house is a safe space for trans folks. Maybe you hang a sign in the window, because it's not like trans folks aren't on that block.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like gay folks aren't on that block and have always been there. So I think it's about making our space, our conversations, our art, our music, not just like tokenize it, but actually include the messages and the stories of all these people there. It's the same way that like black folks weren't seen on TV in any particular way until very recently, right? And so the only image of black folks was what you saw on TV. The only image of women is what you see on the reality shows. No images of trans people. How are we supposed to respond to it? How are we supposed to celebrate them or be excited by them if we don't welcome them, their images, their homes, and demand that they are part of our narrative and our art as well?
Yeah.
That's what I got for now.
All
We
right.
can keep talking.
I like that. I like that. That's strong.
All right. They told me we got 15 minutes 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to ask the Kennedy Center question. I don't know who it came from, but it says, what interests you about performing with the NSO at the Kennedy Center?
So I think, for me, it's like, first of all, you never think about the fact when you first starting to rap. When I wrote my first rap in my cousin's room.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, I do remember some of it.
How'd it go?
It was my cousin who was born on your birthday.
Oh, the
Ajay.
17th of August.
Yeah, God bless her. So, yeah. It said, let me give you a little context. I would go visit my cousin in Cincinnati. He was like my best friend, but he my cousin. And some of our friends that was older than us, they lived in a neighborhood called Bond Hill. So these guys that were older than us, just a little bit older than us, they was like Cincinnati's Run DMC. So their name was the Bond Hill Crew, but they was our homies, Nate Newville, and So I wrote this rap. We were sitting up late one night. This is 7th grade. We was summer of 7th grade, and I said, well, let me tell you about a trip a time ago. I was going there to run a cold-blooded show. When I was there, I saw some people jamming too. They called themselves the Bond Hill Crew. Dr. Ice, Romeo, and Master E, all of the Bond Hill Crew, rapping to a T. I asked them, could they rock with me? That's all I remember from that.
Nah, homie, not if you rock it for free.
Yeah.
So from the first rap to the Kennedy Center stage, why NSO?
Yeah, for me, it's like getting to perform with some very, very talented musicians. Hip hop being presented with an orchestra in a way that, I didn't envision it starting off, or even like maybe even 15 years, 10 years ago, even though we were pushing the music, doing music that was influenced by Fela or Jimi Hendrix and Pink Floyd, it still was like an orchestra. The Kennedy Center, these are places that weren't really, I wasn't even thinking about that I would be or want to go to. But now I'm like very grateful, and it's like, I was on the stage and I was like doing sound check thinking, man, this is an incredible time for me to be able to be here with this orchestra and a band that I love, and be doing music like Black America again, and doing songs like The Light, and doing I Used to Love Her, and having people who don't even know who Common is sit down and we present the music to them. And it's just, it's art. It's like, to me, it's like when I go see a play, I might not know who all the actors are, but if the play is great, I appreciate it, and I feel like that as a performer. Like, I don't mind if people don't know who I am or whatever. I just want to give a great show, and I think being here at the Kennedy Center and performing with the NSO and the orchestra is just, it's the level that I want to be performing at.
Do you think Biggie would think that hip hop would ever take it this far?
Yeah, Biggie had a vision. Like, when you listen to Biggie, and for someone to only make 2 albums and arguably be the greatest MC ever, like, I mean, he had a vision. So he probably would have been here like back in 2001. You know, if they, you know, yeah, they would have had to have Biggie here. So anyway, yeah, hip hop took it this far. We taking it. I mean, think about it. Like in the White House, D Nice was playing Annie Up and Shook Ones. That's hip hop
Like
taking
MOP,
it this far.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he playing MOP, man.
Questlove playing the Hamilton after party.
Yeah.
Camila Forbes
Yeah.
running Apollo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like hip hop is in a different place. All right, my last question is always one I ask everybody. I always ask the top 5. Top 5 rap, obviously. Top 5 rappers. But in this case, I want to ask your top 5 rapper, actor, activists.
Oh man, come on, that's like.
You can put yourself on the list if you want. Or you can just say top 5 rappers.
Okay, I'll go with that. Mos Def.
All right. What's your favorite role you've seen most in? We can't do this for everybody.
Okay. My favorite role I've seen most in was Something the Lord Made.
I love Something the Lord Made. That's fantastic.
But he's just a brilliant actor. He's one of the greatest.
And he's
actors.
hilarious as a comedian.
He's incredible.
Man,
like
he's
that
a good
dude is
dude.
one of the most talented dudes I ever seen. But
Whatever y'all seen, we see you.
yeah, I seen and
So that's one.
I think Tupac.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate that. I needed some help.
Tupac.
Tupac.
He rapped, he
I'ma
acted,
give
he activisted it.
Queen Latifah.
All
I
right.
mean, you know, I'm gonna give that definitely. Then I'm gonna say we gotta say Ice Cube. Ice
All
Cube.
right.
I mean, because you know, Ice Cube was the activist. He put, you know, and then you gotta go with that boy from the South Side of Chicago.
Chance?
Kanye. No.
Oh yeah, I heard of that dude too.
But who your top 5 rappers?
Top 5 rappers. They gotta act too.
No, just
Okay.
rappers.
Well, I'll say Lauren. She does all of it. Gotta be. I'm from the West Coast, so I gotta say Efeezy Fonzarelli. My Uncle Earl raised me. Ooh. Gotta shout out my squad, David Diggs. He raps, he acts, he activists. That's one of my best friends since I was 14. At least 2 spots.
I'm talking about top rappers, not just
I'm
actors.
saying, you know what I'm saying? Lauren, who out-rapped Lauren. Diggs double time is nasty.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying these are top 5 MCs of all time?
Efeezy Fonzarelli,
Okay,
yes.
all right,
Okay.
cool, okay.
Can I live? Gotta say Andre 3000.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
Acting, rapping, all of this ceteris. I got 1 spot left. Gotta give it to a female. Gotta give it to a pioneering female. He already said Queen. I love Light, but I'm gonna go with Roxanne. No? My list don't count? All right, Dana Owens, the greatest ever do it.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate it. He said no to your
I mean, but that's
list.
your top 5.
It's my top 5. I
respect your
can't
top
live in it,
5.
bro. Damn.
All right.
All right, then I'll say Chinaka Hodge, bro.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That girl from the West Side. I think that's about our time for today. So, da. I tell you the rest when I see you.
Peace.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you all.
Big test one. Are we on here? Are we on here?
Yeah,
Hello,
test.
come on now.
There we go.
Come on now. All right, big gratitude to Chinaka
Thank you.
Hodge. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
And big gratitude for Common and excitement for tomorrow.
Yes.
So that's big. That's big.
Peace,
Yeah.
y'all.
Tomorrow night here.
Tomorrow night,
Thank
right
you
here at
so
the
much.
Kennedy Center.
Peace, y'all. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
family. Appreciate you.
So this was the kickoff of a series of conversations we're going to have. The next one is on April the 24th with Liz Medicine Crow and Ty Defoe. The topic is Water is Life. It's about the environment and re-indigenizing the arts. I want to give a shout out to DJ RBI, who is on the stage. And there he is. All right. So what this is about is starting a conversation. So get back to the conversation. Thank you all so much for being here.